When it comes to classic 2D Disney animation, Lion King is right up there with those big balls of gas burning billions of miles away. To the untrained eye, the remake might seem like a clone of the original, but it turns out that Lion King 94 wasn't so original itself, having ripped off Japanese series Kimba the White Lion. Putting Kimba aside momentarily, more on him coming up, how does the Lion King remake stack up against the original? In this video we'll be discussing the main differences, the two voice casts, and of course the musical numbers to figure out which movie's best. And if this is your first time watching one of our videos, be sure to subscribe and all that other good stuff. So, who's the real king of Pride Rock?
The original-ish Lion King is an absolute classic and made a ton of cash. The remake wouldn't exist otherwise, so don't expect a Black Cauldron remake anytime soon. Still holding out for Brother Bear though. Much like Lion King 94, in fact remarkably like it, the remake has its share of laughs, classic tunes and quotable dialogue. Not so much of the subliminal messaging this time though, and like its predecessor, the movie pulls no punches either, with Mufasa's, spoiler alert, death still being as impactful as ever. Luckily, Father of the Year James Earl Jones reprises his role, Mufasa's demise being all the more poignant for it. The same sadly can't be said for the rest of the movie as, despite the best efforts of the filmmakers, the remake falls all too easily into copycat territory, but without the charm.
Jon Favreau, aka the David Attenborough of the CGI wildlife genre, returns and is more money than ever, with the remake exceeding the original's box office haul in just a few short weeks. Like this year's other big remake though, Lion King received some pretty scathing reviews. I guess not every critic's a Disney shill after all. But also like Aladdin, audiences seem to have enjoyed the movie just fine. Many have commented on the inability of CGI animals to emote as well as, cartoon. And they're right. The movie leans heavily on Hans Zimmer's score to emphasize the emotional beats. And as a result, some of the dialogue feels a little rushed because animals can't muster any kind of dramatic delivery. Favreau's previous remake was more engaging because we had Mowgli to latch onto in the feels department. The Jungle Book also expanded on its source material, whereas the new movie is almost a shot-for-shot remake.
That said, there's a lot to like about Lion King 2019. Favreau's all-star cast may not quite outshine the originals, but it does a fine job. The lineup of course includes Don Glover as Simba, Mrs. Z as Nala, and Chiwetel Ejiofor as Scar. Everyone does well for the most part, though a couple are out of their depth, with John Oliver being the worst offender. He was never going to bet a bean though. The new movie's biggest divergence is that Scar's given a little more backstory, with him outright saying he got his scar, and I guess his name, from a previous encounter with his big bro. He's also a little less, let's say, flamboyant than the Irons version. He really wants to bang Sarabi, FYI. The character design is a lot less iconic this time round too, and what was a great villain song in Be Prepared becomes a cringy mess in the photorealistic remake. We were not prepared for that.
But this being Disney and The Lion King, there's an obvious expectation to include musical numbers. They're as integral to the franchise as explosions are to Michael Bay's body of work. Whereas Favreau played this down in The Jungle Book, he's gone full-on pub singer in The Lion King, covering the complete original soundtrack and shoehorning in 2 new songs. But if you're gonna hire Beyonce, you'd better get your money's worth. And it's cool they got Sir Elton to contribute again, but the truth is, he hasn't really been relevant since, 1994. Of all the songs, ironically, it's The Lion Sleeps Tonight that goes down best, with each animal contributing their own melodic section. Maybe there was more scope to experiment with a song that wasn't an original Lion King number, while the others were expected to be delivered in a very specific manner. Though admittedly a few lyrics were updated here and there.
We spoke about this at some length in our Aladdin comparison video, but what makes animation so effective is its ability to stretch real-world boundaries and have, say, the creatures of Pride Rock, sing, dance, and somehow live in harmony without slaughtering each other. It's during the musical numbers where the 94 movie really comes alive. In the remake, many of the equivalent scenes feel significantly flatter because real animals can only really run around. In lieu of ostrich riding, Favreau often resorts to cutting to baby animals to provide a cute distraction, but the difference is all too obvious. It's not to say all the songs suffer. The Circle of Life intro is as rousing as it ever was, but the realistic take does have its limitations, whereas the original utilised the capabilities of its animation perfectly.
The new movie is still an impressive technical feat, but that's not really saying much in a market flooded by effects-heavy blockbusters. So you're kinda left wondering if this is a movie that needed to be made. Yes, Disney love money, and the Disney remake roster TM would feel incomplete without Simba and co. But is there any artistic merit in a near shot-for-shot remake? especially when Disney's other efforts have managed to at least seem fresh by remixing the source material. As mentioned, Lion King 94 isn't all that original itself. The similarities with Kimba the White Lion are startling. More startling still is that Disney never got sued. Now, we're not saying they paid the creators off, but they must have paid the creators off. Clearly, Disney is no stranger to ripping people off, but they're seemingly stuck in the habit of ripping themselves off now. Given the stagnation all these live-action remakes represent, surely the bubble must be bursting soon.
Well, there's no signs that they're slowing. Disney just smashed its yearly revenue record, and it's only August. Aladdin and Lion King were a huge help, and even more money is to be made with Mulan, The Little Mermaid, Lady and the Tramp, and Maleficent 2 all incoming. The latter being a true test as one of the very few remakes to actually get a sequel. Through the Looking Glass was terrible, but if Maleficent 2 can be critically and financially successful, it may well open the door to the likes of Simba's Pride, The Jungle Book 2, or Return of Jafar. Lucky us. The way Disney is burning through its back catalogue though, it may well be the best and only move. The direct-to-home video sequels have a reputation for being crappy. Because they are crappy. But that just means future directors can stray even more from the source material and actually do something different. And if all else fails, there's always Brother Bear.
By now, it should be pretty obvious which movie is superior. The remake always had its work cut out dethroning the original. And as enjoyable as the new film is, Lion King 1994 is by far the better movie, making it our winner. But don't just take our word for it. Make a case for your favourite movie in the comments. And be sure to add your vote in the poll up top. If you enjoyed this video, we'd be very grateful if you could hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. You'd be getting direct access to a bunch more fun, nerdy content, like these videos right here. Thanks for watching,